ki.
Jai.
It's in front of you.
Yeah. It's fine here. I'll read from the lap. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So this reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, this is Canto 1, Chapter 6, Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. And this is text 21. I'll just read the Sanskrit and then little translations. Hantasmin janime bhavan mamam drastum aiharati api bhagvat tas kasya yanam drudrasyo aham kuryo ginam. Hanta, O Narada, asmin, this, jamani, duration of life, bhavan, yourself, ma, not, mam, me, drastum, to see, aha, here, arhati, deserve, avipakva, immature, kasyayanam, material dirt, dudrasaha, difficult to see, to be seen, aham, I, koryon ginam, incomplete in service. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. Purport. The personality of Godhead is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the most pure, the supreme, the absolute truth. There is no trace of a tinge of materiality in his person. And thus, one who has the slightest tinge of material affection cannot approach him. The beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. The result is exhibited by the signs of being freed from karma, lust, and lobha, covetousness. This is to say, one must be free from the desires for sense gratification and a variance for sense gratification. The balanced mode of nature is goodness. And to be completely freed from all material tinges is to become free from the mode of goodness also. To search the audience of God in a lonely forest is considered to be in the mode of goodness. One can go out into the forest to obtain spiritual perfection, but that does not mean that one can see the Lord personally there. One must be completely freed from all material attachment and be situated on the plane of transcendence, which alone will help the devotee get in personal touch with the personality of Godhead. The best method is that one should live at a place where the transcendental form of the Lord is worshipped. The temple of the Lord is a transcendental place, whereas the forest is a materially good habitation. A neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord, Archana, rather than go to into the forest to search out the Lord. Devotional service begins from the process of Archana, which is better than going out to the forest. In his present life, which is completely freed from all material hankering, Srila Narada Muni does not go into the forest. Although he can turn every place into Vaikuntha by his presence only, he travels from one planet to another to convert men, gods, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, Rishis, Munis, and all others to become devotees of the Lord. By his activities, he has engaged many devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and many others in the transcendental service of the Lord. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, follows in the footsteps of the great devotees like Narada and Prahlad and engages his whole time in glorifying the Lord by the process of kirtan. Such a preaching process is transcendental to all material qualities. There you go. Amakanyam Turandasya Janasala Chakasala Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Statikam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dantika Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Panchaka Bhatrubhascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nishananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasari Gaura Bhattarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll just read the translation once more. O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. So this is a very interesting part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's all interesting. So here, Narada has received darshan of the Lord, and we've heard from, obviously, Srila Prabhupada and devotees who follow in his footsteps that we can get darshan of the Lord as well. So we get darshan of the Lord in many ways, but also we can get darshan of the Lord in the temple. We can get darshan of the Lord even on the street. And we can get darshan of the Lord in dreams. And we can get darshan of the Lord while reciting Vedic literature. So how does that happen? So as it's hinted here, that there's a nice sloka in the Bhagavad Gita, a very famous one, and that's from the three modes of material nature, that's chapter 14. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So, if we engage in full devotional service, we are unfailingly in all circumstances, we transcend the modes of the material nature. As it's mentioned in the purport, a symptom of that is that you become free from envy and covetousness, being attached to mobile phones or being attached to whatever. Right. So there was an instance in my, brief devotional life where we were doing a Prabhupada marathon. Maybe about 15 years ago, Prabhupada marathon, and there was a devotee who said, his name's Radharaman, very, very surrendered devotee, very empowered devotee to guide sort of book distributors and devotees in general on the spiritual path. He said to us, especially myself and a devotee called, I won't mention his name actually, but, and it was my Sankirtan partner at the time, and he said to us, he says, okay, don't overdo it. Just do your normal hours. Come back, take something to eat, read Krishna book, have a bit of hot milk, and take rest. And that's what he said. I want you to do that every night. And we went, oh, okay. So usually in the marathon, it's like gung ho, let's go for it, right? But basically, this is what he said to do. And so we followed it. And the interesting thing was that we were reading the Krishna book every night. And then one night we were reading the Krishna book, and my friend was reading it. He was reciting it, and I was listening to it. And it was Akura, when he has a vision. He has a vision of Krishna and Balaram. And then my friend was speaking. Then all of a sudden, Krishna and Balaram appeared from the sound. That's a very strange statement. From the sound, it was these aren't ordinary books. They appeared from the sound, and you could see them quite clearly. And I didn't say anything at the time. I didn't say anything. And then he finished the reading, and then I will say his name's Subal. And I said to Subal, I says, "Did you see what I saw?" And he went, "Yeah." So that was it. So then afterwards, I was like, "Why did that happen?" And I was thinking, "Why did that happen?" And then I always think of this verse: "One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman." So that may have been why we were eligible to have that vision, but ultimately it's the mercy of Krishna. Ultimately, as the purport mentions, that Narada, the Lord says to Narada, "You see me now, but that will be the last time." And not that we didn't have any spoken words in that vision. We just had the vision, and it's very interesting that incidences like that just prove or show that this literature is not ordinary literature. It's spiritual. It's very special, and it's a very personal thing. Krishna is dealing with us on a personal level, and when we follow authority without any sort of ulterior motive, then Krishna's pleased and he'll reciprocate with us. And the interesting thing was, it says, when it says engages in full devotional service, it's not that we were going out on book distribution, full on 12 hours a day, 18 hours. We weren't doing that. But obviously we were engaging in book distribution to the level which we could, comfortably handle. And then the rest of our time was engaged in devotional service, like reading Prabhupada's books, honouring prasadam, and things like that. Going to the full morning program. So what I'm saying is that it's not as it's very simple and straightforward to engage in full devotional service. It's not that you have to be young and full of energy, things like this. Because obviously, as I'm getting older, or the body's getting older in years, your capacity to perform devotional service, at least practical devotional service, is diminishing. It's going down. But then you compensate by japa. You compensate by reading, and basically you make adjustments. And so basically, devotional services of all varieties. And there's another thing I wanted to say was there's an interesting thing where. I remember when I was on the islands, again, this is quite a few years ago, I was on the islands, and I wanted to... There's a statement by Ayendra, and he said, your sadhana should be... It'll manifest itself, your attitude in your sadhana will manifest itself in your devotional service, in your practical devotional service. So at that time, I wanted to actually, chant and have an effect on people. For some reason I thought that, and I was chanting extra rounds to do that. And I even had a japa coach. And my japa coach was Sharupa. I'm telling you this because obviously we're in a situation where we spend a lot of time in the temple, we're in lockdown or whatever. So you can turn that situation around to your advantage. So my meditation was, I want to go somewhere and chant and have a real effect on people. And Sarupa knew I was chanting extra rounds, and he says, if you don't mind, if I hear you not chanting properly or mispronouncing or whatever, I'll mention it. He's like, okay, and yeah, that's okay. And sure enough, it was very vigilant, right? You know? But obviously he was my Japa coach. He wasn't doing it out of envy. He wanted me to, because he was situated in full devotional service, he wanted me to be successful in my endeavour, because I probably mentioned to him what I wanted to do, you know. And then after a year, it was a year when I was doing this for a year, and then I went to the Glastonbury Festival, and they asked me to go to the Glastonbury Festival, and I didn't want to go. That's an interesting point. I did not want to go because the previous year it was a washout, and it was like, oh my God, you couldn't even find a dry place to sit. That's how bad it was. Right? And I was looking around this field and wondering, thinking, people come here for enjoyment. Are you kidding me? Like, whatever, you know. So the next year, I did not want to go. Forget it. You know? Right, but anyway, my spiritual master, my Vishnu Swami, was going, so I was with my Vishnu Swami. And we were in Glastonbury, we were going down the field, it started to rain. I thought, oh God, here we go. Anyway, that was just a little bit of a tease, you know. And then the rest of the week, it was perfect. You know, the weather was really good. So on the Friday, my Guru Maharaj was leaving on the Friday, and we were there till Sunday, and the last day was the Saturday. And then he said to me, he said, I'd like you to stay behind because there's not many devotees, and help out with the kirtans. And I said, yeah, okay, Maharaj, you know. So that's what I did, you know. So anyway, so the next day I went up to do a kirtan, and then went to approach the microphone, and then I opened my mouth, and this sound came out, and I thought, it's not me. It doesn't sound like me. And it was just a totally different sound, and the devotees noticed. And then this sound was coming out, and then I got this realization that Krishna is behind everything, and you can see Krishna behind everything. And then I was chanting, and it just seemed a couple of minutes, but apparently I was chanting for 2 hours, but it seemed like just a couple of minutes, and like that. And eventually it went away. Eventually, you know, I won't get into those details, but all I'm saying too is that this process is a very special process where we can get reciprocation really easily, and if we're in, you know, like myself, I've been in the movement probably almost 20 years, and I just got sick of mechanically chanting. You know, when's it going to change? You know, and then I listened to Iyengar. And he says these sort of discourses he gives are very, very potent, and they're just saying exactly what Prabhupada is saying. He says, if you want to actually advance, he says, this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. And, you know, the Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan. That's what it is, you know. And this is for everyone. This is for because when we're in the temple, we're doing kirtan, which is obviously the process to make spiritual advancements as well, but it's for our own purification. That's what it's for. And it says in the last sloka of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says congregational chanting will reduce the karma, will reduce our karma, and paying obeisances to Lord Vishnu will reduce material anxiety. So again, in this present situation that we're in, that's the solution. That's what you do. But Harinam, when we go out on Harinam, it's Vaishnavas, they don't like to see other people suffering. So they want to alleviate the suffering of other people. So, I mean, when the lockdown happened, I was just, you know, like Lord Chaitanya says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, we should chant on our doorsteps. And if we don't have musical instruments, just clap our hands. He wanted to hear the holy name everywhere. So in this present situation, the Harinam has been stopped all over the world. We can't go out all over the world en masse. So as in lecture yesterday, where it said that in Prabhupada's time, everyone would go out en masse. Everyone would go out on Harinam. And when you go back to the temple, this is I'm recounting what Tribhuvannath, a story Tribhuvannath told me. He said, when you go back to the temple, he was back in the temple one evening, and he looked round, and they were all sleeping. All the devotees were sleeping, and they were all chanting in their sleep, all of them. So this is the thing. When we perform Harinam, it gives us a taste, because this is the clue to getting rid of the mechanical chanting. So it gives you a taste for chanting. It keeps you fixed. It gives you, nista, nam nista, and it gives you this taste for, at least to approach nam ruchi. It gives you that taste to approach it. You can only get a taste for chanting the holy name when you're actually doing it, by doing it. And the problem is, as I've been reading really interesting sort of books on japa by various devotees, and one of the biggest problems is we don't really have a taste for chanting the holy name, and that's why the mind drifts and it goes all over the place, because we don't really appreciate the holy name. We don't understand its potencies, and we don't understand what it can give you. So what Harinam gives you is association. By performing Harinam, you get 100 times the benefit of doing Nam Japa, 100 times more benefit just by going out and performing the Harinam. You don't have to do it in big groups. I'm not saying this is just my own experience. I'm saying some of my best experiences were just with two people, just me and say me and Pramanava. And we'd go out and we started doing it regularly, and the temple was dead. There was no life in the temple at all. And we did the Harinam for about, we did it for a few years actually, but after 2 months, people started coming to the temple. Life started coming back to the temple. And that was because of the Harinam, because imperceptibly, it just brings life. It's a life of all transcendental knowledge. And it's joyfully performed. And I'm not saying, rush out and do Harinam at the moment, but I'm just saying what I've been finding in this lockdown is that if you have to go to the shops, I went to the shop yesterday. I was after some moringa powder, actually, because it helps you with the energy levels and lots of other things. And then I was waiting outside one shop, and I had my drum with me. It just happened to have my drum with me. And I was chanting, and then I looked inside, and I said, "Is it okay to go in?" And I said, "Oh, there's two people in the shop." It was a health food shop, And I says, "Oh, have you got this moringa powder?" They went, No, whatever. I said, okay. And they said, "Oh, thank you for singing. It was really nice." So this is a thing. People like it. And when I go out to the shop, I used to do this before as well. Anytime I went out to the shop, I thought I can go to the shop, spend 5 or 10 minutes walking down the road. You can do it with your japa bag, or you can do it with a little drum or some cartels and chants. And I always do that. And people react and they'll chant. They'll chant with you. It's quite amazing. You may get one or two who are a bit, you're contaminated or whatever. But then that happened twice, and on each occasion, another member of the public came up and says, "No, what he's doing is good for everyone." And that happened twice. So at the end of the day, we're going out to please Lord Chaitanya, we're going out to please Krishna at the end of the day, but also we're giving mercy to the fallen conditioned souls. And we're there as well. We're fallen and we're conditioned souls. So during this lockdown, it's very good to, read the scriptures, improve our japa. And if you get an opportunity, if you have to go out somewhere, just do a bit of chanting in the car. Do a bit of chanting wherever, without breaking the strictures that are imposed. You know, the police see me in Dublin. Well, I'm lucky in one sense because I'm in Dublin. You know, and they're very easy, and the police see me. They no bother at all. You know, if you're standing in one place chanting, then they may move you on. But they saw me chanting outside the restaurant because we distribute Prashadam on the Sunday, and I chant outside, and they're fine with that as well. So the main thing is not to break the guidelines, but within those guidelines you can do a bit of chanting if you're going to the shop or if you have to collect something. And remember that the Yuga Dharma, you know, Harinam Sankirtan is very auspicious for this world. And just to highlight this point, a few years ago, I was in Birmingham and I was chanting on a side street. I didn't have a PA. You don't need a PA to chant, and they sound horrible anyway. Most of them, they do actually. And I was just chanting with a drum in a small side street, and this woman walked past me, and then she went to the flower store, and she came back, and she gave me a bunch of flowers, a bouquet of flowers, and she says, "What you're doing is very beneficial for the earth. And because today is Mother's Day, and the earth is not different from Mother, that's why I'm giving you these flowers." I thought, well, that was really interesting. And it turned out that she lived off-grid. She didn't use electricity. She lived a totally natural lifestyle, which is what Prabhupada it wants us to do. That's what Prabhupada wants us to do. So this age, this time that we're in now is a very special time where we can, you know, really focus on, okay, what are we really all about? What are we all about? And what should we be doing? And for me, we should be getting back to the land. We should be self-sufficient. Obviously, Shivaram Swami's achieved this. And we should be taking the Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan seriously at some point in our lives. The sooner the better. Because that's the process that will actually get us fixed up on chanting. And there's beautiful conversations in there's one conversation. Have we got enough? Oh yeah, we've got enough time. I just want to read it because it's very potent. It's by a lady. Her name's Srimati Dasi. And what she says really struck me when I read it. And I've hinted at it already. It says, the main obstacle to entering into Nam's all-merciful, powerful and very loving association is that we chant without taste. Our chanting has no life. Unfortunately, a primary symptom of such chanting is that we chant inattentively. We are not focused on Nam because we have no attraction for him. And so the mind is distracted by so many other things. And that means we are not watering the Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotion, but instead the weeds that will choke our devotional creeper. One may ask, isn't it better not to chant than to chant inattentively? But perhaps a better question would be, what do you do about inattentive chanting? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives another number of answers, but the main thing he says, this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our previous acharyas, perform Nam Sankirtan. It is the best cure. The reason is that not only do you have wonderful Vaishnavas around you who are supporting your attempt to hear and chant, but Nam Sankirtan builds faith in the heart. The main reason we cannot chant Nam with attention is because we don't really have faith in him, and so we give him a back seat in our lives. When faith in Nam grows stronger through association of others in Nam Sankirtan, then our individual Nam Bhajan also becomes so much more focused and dynamic. And it's, remember, focused and dynamic. And our chanting should be like that, focused and dynamic. What do I want to achieve with my chanting? It is important to understand that how you live your life obviously has a lot to do with how successfully you are able to enter the world of Nam. What do you do before you take rest? What is your state of consciousness? If you are in the habit of being more introspective and more prayerful before you take rest, singing bhajans, astikas and so on. Okay, that's quite high level, but you know, songs of the previous acharyas, even if you just read the translations, they're brilliant. And so on, then your consciousness will be on a higher level when you rise in the morning. And if the first thing you do upon rising is to beg for mercy of Guru and the acharyas and the Vaishnavas and sing the glories of Nam, you will easily be able to enter your bhajan in the mood of a humble, enthusiastic servant. Otherwise, one generally has to deal with the mood of the mind, which is so dry and frustrating. So these very practical and easy to understand sort of instructions. And then this is nice at the end. It is so important to have a strong faith in Nam. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes why in a nutshell. There are only two things of substance in this world, the Jiva and Nam, nothing else. Everything is an expansion of Nam and his potencies. Nothing exists outside of Nam, not even us. If we have firm faith in this, entering into Nam's world as his humble servant is not such a big problem. So in this world, it's a question of what you get attached to. And as I was walking around, I even had people coming up to me chanting Corona, Corona, Corona. They were chanting. I was going, Gauranga, Gauranga. But it's what you get, absorb your mind in. And this is the thing as well with the present situation, is we have to be so careful not to get absorbed in what the media is pumping out. So, you know, our reality is that we're all spiritual beings. I mean, we're trapped in this material world through our own stupidity. So we should, you know, take notice of the previous acharyas and make a real effort into getting that attachment for the holy name. And that's the goal in life. Nothing else is everything else is temporary, and even this situation is temporary. It will, you know, as happiness and distress come and go like the winter and summer seasons. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So the masses, they're disturbed by this situation. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be disturbed by it because it's only temporary, and we've got the highest thing. And another thing is that, you know, at some point we should take this seriously to actually give the holy name to others. And it benefits ourselves and it will benefit others. And if you give, you'll get the mercy. So we may not have perfected our devotional life by sadness siddhis, not, and so we can go for kripa siddhi, we can go for mercy. So one way to get that is to give the name out, the holy name out. And it doesn't matter what the situation. I remember being on a crossroads amongst the fields, loads of fields. We were doing travelling Sankirtan with that saint Pramana, and I was there. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. I was thinking, what am I doing here, man? There I was in my japa bag. What am I doing here? Right? And then there was this crossroads, and no car had been down that crossroad all morning. And all of a sudden this huge Cadillac comes and it passes me by. And then this bird like glides down and it lands at my feet. And I realised, oh, it's been hit by the car. So I carried on chanting and it left its body. And I was thinking, oh, I got my answer then. That's what you were doing there. What are the chances of that happening? No car any morning. One car comes, it happens to hit the bird, and the bird lands at your feet, and you're chanting. You're doing your japa, you're chanting the holy names. Will we be that fortunate when we leave our bodies that we're chanting, someone's chanting the holy names for us? Anyway, so one bit of humour. There was Vaisesiki was in London, and I was crossing the road, and I wasn't looking the right way, and he stopped me. He said, stop! And this car came past, and it could have hit me and killed me, And then I said to him, this guy, I think it's got news. I said, I could have left my body, but it would have been an auspicious departure considering the present company. He started laughing. It was really funny. Anyway, Hare Krishna. So, okay, so, you know, there's a few stories. There are a few other stories. There's loads of stories that, again, reiterating that we may not have there may not be loads of devotees going out on Harinam, but one or even two is that's good enough. That's good enough. And like I was saying, you know, in some of my best Harinams were with two people. I remember we're doing a book table, just two people. This is in Brighton. A guy comes along, kicks the table over. My friend's having a little scuffle with him. He's on the floor, rolling on the floor, going into the road. The buses are stopping. It's all happening, you know. The people come and they go, "Are you okay? Everything all right?" And the guy goes off, obviously, and you know, everything went on as normal. He even got a book out, you know. And then the next day we were just talking about it. And then all of a sudden, we were setting up the book table, and all of a sudden we started laughing, uncontrollable laughing. And we couldn't stop. And I was trying to play the madung, and I was just giggling, you know. I was just like, and the people who were passing us, they started laughing, and no one knew why they were laughing, why we were laughing. No one knew, you know. So, you know, that I was saying these things can happen if we engage in the Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan, and alongside book distribution, that's the best thing. Because even now, when I was going up to the shop yesterday, I did 2 books. This woman stopped, and she was from Mayo, and she was swearing like a trooper. She was a teacher, and it was really funny. I thought it was really funny. Anyway, she took a book, gave a donation, and another guy stopped, took a book. He didn't have a donation to give, but you know, I gave him anyway. But the point is, when you're out, you should always have some books on you. And similarly, you know, when we're out, there's always be a situation where you can preach. There'll always be a situation. No matter lockdown or no lockdown, there'll always be some sort of situation. But the main thing is to protect yourself, and not, like I'm saying, is not to breach the rules and regulations. But anyway, okay, so I just wanted to end with a few Harinam stories where you go out and you know, unusual things happen. And Ayendra's formula for doing these Harinams is you chant as much japa as possible, and you do as much Harinam as possible. And you do that with determination. You do it like, I'm doing this because I want to go out and perform Harinam and give something to somebody. And that's the mood in which you do it. And then if you do it in that mood, you'll be focused. And obviously, we're not, speaking for myself, not that practiced, you know, not whatever, but you just do it. Because the Harinam is for the pious and it's for the sinful. You don't have to be qualified to go out and do Harinam. You just go and do it. At the end of the day. And the other thing is, we have to be balanced. What's the point of chanting so many rounds of japa if we're not really focused, when we could actually go out and just chant on the street and get so much benefit? And by doing that, the next day you will be focused. So you just got to get the balance right. When you're young, you can do it. You can do hours of Harinam, no problem when you're young. There's one. So I was out it happened only a couple of weeks ago. I was with 2 book distributors in Chelsea, and I was chanting. I made sure I was chanting all the time. I just had my small drum with me, and then we were chanting with them, and then a group of school kids passed me, and I didn't get them to chant, you know, and I thought, okay, that was a missed opportunity. The only person that can get anyone to chant is Lord Chaitanya. It's not me, it's Lord Chaitanya. And I was thinking like that, because no one chanted when I was chanting, none of them. That was it, you know. I was just getting on with it. I wasn't responding. That's not really why you go out and you just do it, you know. So anyway, and we were walking back, and it was quite a big main road, and there's about 4 lanes of traffic, but the cars were quite sparse, and there was a bus stop, And there was loads of kids at the bus stop, and I was on the other side of the road, and my friends were walking in front of me. And for some reason, I just stopped. I was chanting, but then I just stopped, and then I just shouted Hare Krishna over to them. And then something amazing, they all chanted back, all of them. There's like 35 kids. They were young kids, and they chanted. They were probably about 7 or 8 years old, or 9 or 10, yeah, something like that. And it was quite a distance away. So they all started chanting the whole mantra, because I'd broken it down. They were doing the whole mantra, and I had to shout really loud because it was such a far distance. I was thinking, I hope I don't break into coughing fits. but I could do it. And then the bus came, and I thought, okay, that's good. And then I just raised my hands up and I said, well done, kids. Well, and they all got on the bus, and that was it. That was the end of it, you know. And then, but the interesting thing is, I remember seeing Ram Roy in a kirtan, and he was shouting really loud, because you've got to do it with full vigour, full, you know, whatever. And he was really getting into it, shouting really loud in Ayendra kirtan. I'm thinking, I'm never going to be able to do that, you know. And then there I was doing it, but it wasn't in the kirtan, it was in the Harinam, because that's your propensity. So the point is to recognise your propensity, what you're good at, and then you just do it for Krishna. Simple as that, you know. And if you have a desire, Krishna will fulfill it. He'll actually fulfill it, you know. That's it, really. Have you got any questions? Harinama, 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 Eva Kevala, Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, and just one quick thing about devotees who I've seen with Tribhuvnath and obviously Ayendra and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. You know, these devotees had, you know, they were serious devotees, but they always made time for Harinam. And so obviously with Tribhuvnath, his life was Harinam, but he ran the festival programs, a lot of organisation, a lot of collecting to do, but always did the Harinam. And with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, again, so many books written, so always doing the Harinam. He's always into the Harinam. I remember seeing him on a Saturday night Harinam in Sostries, and it was like really, it was fun. Yeah, that's all I can say. It was fun, you know. So if these personalities can do it, then we should try and follow in their footsteps. And we've got everything to gain. And there's heavy statements, there are some heavy statements that I've heard where we're saying, you know, if we're not surrendering to the Yuga Dharma, Harinam, Sankirtan, how are we going to get Krishna Prem? How are we going to get it? In this age of Kali, you know, and you can have direct experiences that if you want to please the deities, you go out and do Harinam Sankirtan. I've had a direct experience of that where the deities are pleased when you perform the Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. And when we diminish it, it's like they're not pleased. I've had experience of that as well. You know? So this is you know, paramount that we should be doing it. And obviously there's many other services that we're caught up with so many things, but to give something, to give some energy to you know, the Yuga Dharma in our lifetime, just to give some energy, you'll get, you know, untold benefit. You'll get Lord Chaitanya's blessings, and we need these blessings, you know. And like I'm saying, with myself, my chanting's improved, but I won't say I was on any particular high level. But the point is that you've maintained it. You can maintain it because the Harinam, if you do it regularly, it sits you more in the mode of goodness. You maintain something. To maintain something is the mode of goodness. So, and also it gives you a goal and a plan, and all varieties of devotional service open up. I remember I was in one of these earth, you know, these movements to, you know, climate change movements. I ended up in Cambridge and I ended up cooking for these climate change people, you know, and then they weren't so far away from doing what we're doing. I was thinking, what, they want to do something for the earth. They're all getting together, and they were all on the street with drums, boom, 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 chanting. You know, they were chanting their mantras. I was thinking, they get the philosophy. They'll chant the Hare Krishna mantra when they realise how beneficial it is for the earth. They'll do it, and they'll do it en masse. So that's another thing to consider, is that we have this obligation to be instruments in the hands of the predecessor acharyas to actually promote the Yuga Dharma. That's our obligation. It's our duty to do it. And it will happen. But we just have to wake up and realise that it is our duty to do it. And you don't have to do it in big numbers. You can do it by yourself in a field. You can do it on the doorstep. You can do it in your car, you know, without transgressing any of these, you know, lockdown things, you know, without putting yourself at risk. That's my point. You don't put yourself at risk. That's it. But the opportunities are there. Oh, yeah, another thing. There was an opera singer singing on a balcony. So if there's a devotee can sing on the balcony. I remember I was in Turkey, and it was a problem with the changing the planes, the transfer, and they put me up in a hotel. It was a Hilton hotel, only the best. And then I was thinking, wow, it's Turkey, a Muslim country, wow. And there was a balcony on my room, you know. I thought, okay. So we just opened the doors and chanted on the balcony, because you can hear these beautiful chanting of the Muslim prayers, you know. So after that, I just chanted, you know, and that was it. I thought, right, okay, chanted in Turkey, that's fine. No problem whatsoever, you know. So these opportunities are there. They're all there. We just have to have the consciousness to actually seize them, to do them. And to get that enthusiasm. And then, you know, you become joyful, you know. It's like, you know, you get this energy. Do you get this energy, this enthusiasm by doing it?
Okay. No questions yet.
No questions? Okay. Hare Krishna. So anyway, I'll leave it there, because I don't want to repeat myself, but sometimes it's good to repeat yourself. Anyway, so Japa Meditations, it's Dhanadhara Swami's that's a very good book. That's if you want to investigate, you know, chanting, and obviously Shivaram Swami's chanting and more chanting. That's a very interesting, very amazing devotee. And chanting 24 hours, that is not easy. And even staying awake for 24 hours isn't easy, let alone chanting. But again, you can have a go. You build up, and that comes from your diet as well. You know, you can really get in. You can really investigate what it takes to chant properly. Everything from diet, everything from being regulated, everything from, you know, getting knowledge about the, you know, Nam Tattva, association, kirtans, getting out on Harinam as much as you can. So all this will build up, it will build up, it will build up, and all you can do is gain. So there's nothing to be lost, you know. And just one thing to say, that in Ireland, the people, you're very fortunate in Ireland, because, you know, you've got, you know, devotees, senior devotees who are into chanting, who are into the holy name. We're very fortunate to be, like Manu Prabhu, very fortunate to be in association with devotees like this who take the holy name seriously. And despite their other, you know, duties, which are many, and I dare say, you know, very, very stressful, they actually they pay allegiance to the Yuga Dharma, you know. So very, very fortunate to have examples like that. So anyway, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai. Bhavan Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu. It was an inspiring class doing Sankirtan and Harinam.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Good.
Ananta Nitai Prabhu ki jai.